The Peugeot 504, the unkillable aristocrat. In the annals of the automobile, few cars achieve mere popularity. A rare few achieve immortality. They become more than metal and glass. They become a symbol, a legend, a trusted companion across the globe. This is the story of one such car, not a flashy sports car, nor a luxury barge, but an elegant, unbreakable French saloon that conquered the world, the Peugeot 504. It was unveiled in September 1968, a year of global tumult, but the 504 was an island of timeless sophistication. Designed by the Italian master Pininfarina, it was not overtly fashionable, it was handsome. With its clean, taut lines, elegant front end, and balanced proportions, it was a car of quiet confidence. It was an instant classic, and rightfully crowned the 1969 European Car of the Year. The early 504 was a car of contrasts. It looked like a refined gentleman's carriage, but it was engineered for a life of hardship. Under that beautiful skin lay a robust chassis, sophisticated independent rear suspension, and a range of proven, durable engines from the older 404, a 1.8-liter gasoline unit, and a notably smooth 2.1-liter diesel. The 504 was the last of the real Peugeots in the classic sense. It was over-engineered. The body was immensely strong, the suspension was designed to swallow the worst roads, and the mechanicals were simple and accessible. It had a certain hauteur, a nobility. You felt important in a 504, but also completely secure. It was offered in a stunning variety of body styles from the outset. The classic four-door sedan, a graceful two-door coupe, a cavernous station wagon, the brake, and even a cabriolet, all pennied by Pininfarina. It was the complete lineup for a discerning, global clientele. While Europe appreciated the 504's elegance, the rest of the world discovered its soul. It was in the harsh environments of Africa, South America, and the Middle East that the 504 earned its legendary status. Its robust construction, high ground clearance, and simple, easy-to-repair mechanics made it the perfect vehicle for places where roads were a suggestion, not a guarantee. The diesel engine, in particular, became the stuff of legend, able to run on lower-quality fuel and seemingly run forever. In markets from Nairobi to Buenos Aires, the Peugeot 504 is more than a car. It is the backbone of transport, a symbol of resilience. Understanding this global demand, Peugeot established assembly plants across the world, from Kenya to Argentina, Nigeria to Chile. This local production cemented its presence and tailored it to local needs. The ultimate testament to its utility was the introduction of the 504 pickup in 1978. It became the workhorse of continents, a truck that could carry a ton of cargo and outlast its drivers. In Europe, the car evolved gently. It received a facelift in 1974 with new, square headlights, giving it a more modern, yet still classic face. While competitors adopted front-wheel drive and radical new styling, Peugeot wisely kept the 504 largely the same. Its reputation for quality and durability was its selling point. However, by the early 1980s, its successor was ready. The new front-wheel drive Peugeot 504 was introduced in Europe in 1979 to replace the 504. But this was not the end for the 504, far from it. In a move unprecedented for a European mass-produced car, Peugeot did not kill the 504. They simply stopped selling it in Europe. The tooling, the designs, and the production were shifted entirely to its overseas factories. In Nigeria, the 504 is called the Lion. It is a member of the family. My grandfather had one, my father had one, and I learned to drive in one. They are still everywhere as taxis, as family cars, as police vehicles. You can find parts in any village. It is the car that built modern Africa. Production continued robustly. In Nigeria, assembly continued until 2006. In Kenya, it rolled off the line until 2004. In Argentina, the pickup version was produced until 1999. The 504 had achieved a near-mythical status. It became the archetype of the indestructible car, a title it holds to this day. Its total production run spanned nearly 4 decades, and over 3.5 million units across all body styles. The Peugeot 504's story is unique. It began life as a car of the year, a pinnacle of European design and engineering, but its true legacy was written on the corrugated dirt tracks of the developing world. It was a car that was both an aristocrat and a commoner, equally at home on the Champs-Élysées as it was on the Serengeti. It proved that true greatness in a car isn't about horsepower or luxury features. It's about strength, reliability, and a timeless ability to serve. The Peugeot 504 was not just a car, it was a faithful companion to nations, and in the process, it became unkillable. We have followed the 504's journey from Parisian showroom to African savannah. But to understand its immortality, we must look closer, beneath the Pininfarina skin, into its racing heart, and at the unique variants that made it a true chameleon of capability. The 504's reputation was not marketing hype. It was a direct result of its fundamental engineering choices. While many contemporaries were adopting unit body construction, Peugeot stayed with a separate body-on-frame chassis for the 504. This was a decision of profound significance. This chassis was a ladder frame, incredibly strong and rigid. You could drive on impossible roads, and the body wouldn't twist or suffer. It was the perfect foundation for durability. Then you had the suspension, independent at the front with torsion bars, but the masterpiece was the independent rear suspension with coil springs. This was a luxury car feature that gave it a brilliant ride and incredible wheel articulation off-road. A Land Rover would bounce, but a 504 would glide. The engines were equally legendary. The gasoline units, derived from the 404, were understressed and long-lasting. But the star was the 2.1-litre and later 2.3-litre XD diesel engine. This diesel engine, it has no electronics. It is all mechanical injection. It will drink any fuel you give it, the dirtier, the better. It is slow, yes. The 0 to 100 km/h time is, eventually, but it will never stop. We have trucks here with over 1 million kilometers on the same block. It is the heart of the lion. Its image of unflappable comfort belied a fierce competitive spirit. Peugeot immediately recognized the 504's potential in rallying, where toughness was as important as speed. The lightweight 504 coupe became the weapon of choice. In 1975, a 504 coupe V6 won the Bandama Rally in Ivory Coast, but the ultimate test was yet to come. When the Paris-Dakar Rally was born in 1979, it was a perfect match for the 504's talents. The factory entered highly modified 504 pickups and coupes. In 1978, a 504 pickup won the inaugural Rallye du Maroc, a Dakar precursor. Then, in a stunning display of dominance, Peugeot 504s won the first two editions of the Paris-Dakar in 1979 and 1980. These victories were not just marketing triumphs, they were global advertisements for the 504's indestructibility. If it could win the world's toughest race, it could surely survive your daily commute or farm track. The standard sedan, coupe, and wagon were just the beginning. The 504's versatile platform spawned a host of specialized variants. The 504 Familial, a long-wheelbase, six-seater version with 3 rows of benches, often used as a large family car or official vehicle in French colonies. The U10, or Big Head, a 1980s facelift for certain markets, featuring a larger, more angular front end to accommodate a bigger radiator and modernize the look. The Peugeot P4, the French military's answer to the Jeep. It was essentially a 504 chassis and engine clothed in a gel-endured body built under license from Mercedes-Benz. It served for decades. The 504 Torpedo, an open-top, doorless military vehicle built for the armed forces of several African nations. While it faded into a classic car in Europe, the 504 never became a relic in Africa. It became a cultural fossil, a living, breathing artifact from a different era that continues to perform a vital, modern function. It is the backbone of the informal transport economy. Its simple mechanics mean a whole ecosystem of unofficial parts manufacturers and roadside mechanics exists to keep them running. The value of a used 504 is not in its age, but in the condition of its chassis and engine. The Peugeot 504 is a fascinating economic phenomenon. It is a tool that long ago surpassed its depreciation curve. Its low acquisition cost and virtually zero-cost maintenance, using recycled and locally fabricated parts, make it the most economically efficient form of transport for millions. It is a perfect example of appropriate technology. The Peugeot 504 is perhaps the most complete car ever built. It was elegant enough for the bourgeoisie, tough enough for the army, victorious enough for the racetrack, and practical enough to become the irreplaceable workhorse of an entire continent. It is a car that lived multiple, parallel lives, proving that true legacy is not defined by where you start, but by the indelible mark you leave on the world. We have examined the 504's bones, its racing heart, and its global footprints. But to truly grasp its legend, we must understand its soul, the intangible qualities that transformed it from a mere machine into a cultural touchstone and a philosophical statement. In a world of uncertainty, the 504 offered a profound psychological comfort, the promise that it would not fail you. This reliability was not a feature, it was a character trait. It bred a unique form of trust between man and machine. The 504 was more than transport, it was a mobile safe space. In post-colonial Africa or in remote areas of South America where institutions could be fragile, the solidity of the 504 was a constant. It was one of the few things people could absolutely depend on. This created a deep emotional bond. It wasn't loved for its beauty, but for its unwavering presence. It reduced anxiety in a fundamentally anxious world. This relationship was reciprocal. Owners learned the car's rhythms, its sounds, its feel. They developed an intimate, mechanical empathy, knowing precisely when a bolt needed tightening or a bush needed grease. The 504 was transparent in its operation, asking for care and, in return, offering unwavering loyalty. In the 21st century, the 504 has become a radical symbol. In an era of planned obsolescence, digital complexity, and fleeting product life cycles, the 504 stands in silent, defiant opposition. It is the ultimate example of the right to repair. Look at this ecosystem. We don't just drive 504s, we curate them. We have local foundries that recast engine blocks. We have artisans who hand-stitch upholstery and fabricate body panels. The 504 is not consumed. It is maintained, repaired, and recycled in a near-closed loop. It is the antithesis of the disposable economy. It teaches us that the most sustainable car is not always a new electric one. Sometimes it is the old one that never dies. This has created a parallel economy entirely independent of the global automotive industry. A 504's value is not depreciated by a new model year. It is appreciated by the quality of its maintenance. Time has also transformed how we see the 504's design. Its Pininfarina exterior has always been celebrated, but its interior, once seen as Spartan, is now viewed by enthusiasts as a masterpiece of functional design. There are no distracting screens, no soft-touch plastics pretending to be something else. Every switch, every knob is designed for clarity and tactile feedback. It is an interior that respects the user's intelligence and need for direct control. The 504's cabin is honest design. It doesn't lie to you. The materials are what they are: metal, hard-wearing fabric, durable vinyl. They age gracefully. There is a profound beauty in that honesty. In our world of digital interfaces and sensory overload, the 504 offers a calming, analog simplicity. It is a place to think. Does the spirit of the 504 live on in modern Peugeots? The company points to its current design language, feline and expressive, as its future. Yet, the ghost of the 504 lingers. Its DNA is not in a specific part, but in an ethos. The commitment to a certain tactile solidity, to ride quality that prioritizes comfort, and to a distinctive design that stands apart from the crowd. When Peugeot wins accolades for reliability and design today, it is, in part, standing on the unshakable foundation built by the 504. The Peugeot 504 is a story that spans generations and geographies. It is a story told in French, Swahili, Spanish, and Arabic. It is a story written not just in metal, but in trust. It reminds us that the greatest engineering is not about complexity, but about elegant solutions to fundamental problems. That the most enduring design is not about fashion, but about form following function with grace. And that the deepest legacy a machine can leave is not in a museum, but in the daily lives of the people it serves, decade after decade after decade. The 504 refused to be just a car. It became a partner, a provider, a home, a legend. And in 1,000 villages, on 1,000,000 journeys, it remains, quietly and faithfully, the unkillable aristocrat of the road. Beyond the economics, beyond the psychology, lies the final layer of the legend. The story of the 504 is also a story of geopolitics, of art, and of a fundamental mechanical truth that speaks to something ancient within us all. The 504 was not merely a commercial success. It was an instrument of French foreign policy, particularly France-Afrique, the complex relationship between France and its former colonies. The French government and its oil company, Total, often used fleets of Peugeots, and the 504 became the default official car for countless African administrations. The 504 was a symbol of the enduring French presence. It was a rolling embodiment of technical cooperation and economic ties. Driving a 504 was a statement of connection to a certain sphere of influence. It was a diplomat in mechanical form, facilitating everything from state visits to development projects. Its reliability ensured that the connection, quite literally, would not break down. This political role gave it a paradoxical image. It was both the car of the ruling elite and the car of the common man. It transcended class because everyone, from the minister to the taxi driver, understood its inherent value. The 504's cultural imprint extended deep into the arts. It became a recurring character in African cinema, the dependable vehicle that carries the hero to their destiny or the family through a crisis. But its most vibrant tribute came from music and visual art. For my generation, the 504 is not just a car, it is a shape, a color, a spirit. I paint it as a beast of burden with golden horns, carrying the weight of our history. I paint it with psychedelic patterns, showing it as a vessel of our dreams. It is our yellow taxi, our family wagon, our hearse. It contains all of life. It is the most African of canvases. In our silent, electric future, we may forget the language of the internal combustion engine. The 504 spoke this language with a distinct and honest accent. Its sound was not muffled by excessive insulation. It was a symphony of purposeful mechanics. The distinct clack-clack-clack of the diesel engine at idle was a heartbeat. The whine of the transmission was a song of work. The solid thunk of the doors closing was a promise of security. Modern cars are a sterile hum, but the 504, it is an orchestra. Each component has its own voice. You can diagnose its health just by listening. The diesel knock is the percussion. The gearbox whine is the strings. It is a machine that is alive, and it isn't afraid to tell you its story. This cacophony, to me, is a lullaby of reliability. The 504 was the last of a direct evolutionary line. The classic, rear-wheel drive, body-on-frame Peugeot sedan. It represented the culmination of decades of refinement on a single, proven architectural concept. The 504 that succeeded it in Europe was a transitional model, still RWD but with more modern styling. Soon after, the industry, including Peugeot, would pivot entirely to front-wheel drive for passenger cars. The 504 was the end of the line, the final, perfect expression of a dying breed. This is why its death in Europe was so poignant. It wasn't just the end of a model, but the end of an entire philosophy of car building. In the end, the Peugeot 504 achieved a kind of mechanical nirvana. It escaped the planned life cycle of a consumer product. It defeated obsolescence. It became a perpetual motion machine of utility, sustained not by a factory, but by the collective will and ingenuity of its users. It is a testament to the beauty of limits. Within the constraints of its simple design, it found infinite possibility. It is a lesson that profundity can be found in robustness, that elegance can be found in purpose, and that true legacy is not measured in years, but in generations. The 504 is no longer just a car. It is an idea, the idea that something built with integrity and maintained with care can, in its own way, live forever.